Hey, Sherry.
Hi, Mark.
Well, it's Friday morning when we're making
Yes.
this video, and it is December 22nd. And in just a few days' time will be Christmas.
Yes, it will.
And that's on my mind. Only, well, not only, but it's a big thing in our community. Obviously, Christmas has become, quite a secular holiday, apart from its religious significance. And so I'm thinking a lot about our interfaith families who may be observing or celebrating Christmas in some way, whether it be a religious observance or a celebration. I'm thinking they're on my mind because we love them and they're such a vibrant part of our community. And so that got me thinking about what the connections are between those religious traditions and our religious traditions, and there's an obvious connection there, and that's through this prophetic figure, Jesus, right? And so how do we think about, as a Jewish person, how do we think about Jesus and this connection that we have? And that led me back to one of the books on my bookshelf that I treasure, and I brought it with me this morning.
Oh.
Yeah, and it's this book. It's called Rebels and Saints: The Social Message of the Prophets of Israel. It's a pretty old book. It was published in 1933.
Oh my goodness.
Yep, and so the pages are turning a little brown. But it's by Rabbi Ferdinand Isserman.
Interesting.
And Rabbi Isserman, in his career, he had been at Holy Blossom Temple in Toronto. A lot of people will know that. That's a big congregation in North American Jewish life. And then he ended up in St. Louis at Temple Israel. And he was one of many rabbis who, on the eve of World War II, went to Europe to try and get Jews out. So we can be very proud of him for that. But also I think we should be very proud of him because he tried to, in his generation, bring Christians and Jews together. In fact, the introduction to this book was written by Bishop William Scarlett of the Diocese of Missouri in the Episcopal Church. So one of the things that I wanted to point out of his, and the interesting thing about his book, which is about the prophets of Israel, right? He goes through Isaiah and Jeremiah and Amos and Hosea. And then the last prophet that he offers in this book is Jesus. And the subtitle of that chapter is A Prophet of Israel and a Son of the Synagogue. And he talks about in that chapter how Jesus lived his whole life from birth to death as a Jew. And I just want to read a little bit about it because he remarks that maybe we ought to have a little more appreciation for Jesus. And he says, but the time has come when the Jew can appreciate that Jesus has done more for Israel merely than to cause it suffering. Because, tension over the issue of Jesus did cause Jews a lot of suffering. But he goes on to say, Jesus has made of Israel a people of world importance. Seems like a crazy thing to say, right? But he goes on, by his life, he inspired a group of men through whom the history, the literature, the ethics, the poetry of the Jew has been carried into the four corners of the earth. Go where you will, and men will be acquainted with our history. No library is as widely cherished as the library of ancient Israel, the Bible. So he paints for us, for the Jew, maybe how we could see Jesus in a different light, definitely not one as Jesus the Christ, but Jesus as the Jew, and Jesus as a prophet.
Yeah.
One of the things that he also remarks about is that in the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus is asked directly. He says, what is the most important? What is the greatest commandment? And seemingly without even thinking about it, Jesus responds. And how does Jesus respond? He responds with the Shema.
Oh my goodness.
Right? Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, and then V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha uv'chol nafshecha uv'chol me'odecha. Love, we should love our God with all our heart, with all our soul, with all our mind. Right? This is Jesus speaking. And then immediately after that, he offers another greatest teaching that is basically an exposition of the first teaching, and that is a verse that we know well, Leviticus 19:18, V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, right? And they both start with that word, V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, love your fellow as yourself, right? And obviously, these are, Jesus is preaching exactly what we still utter every time that we come to pray the Shema, right? So how far are we from the teaching of Jesus? Well, not all that far, because Jesus was one of us.
Yeah.
And so I just offer that idea to our audience, which I think that we know has a lot of interfaith families in it, and we love them. They are part of the vibrancy of our community at Temple Emanu-El. And so I want to wish with all my heart to our interfaith families a Merry Christmas and a meaningful Christmas, and that for you and maybe for us too, that it become a time when we can come together and have meaningful moments together.
Exactly.
And so even if we're in a completely Jewish family, maybe we can find some time or a special way to wish our neighbors a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, absolutely.
Yeah. So that's there. With all my heart to you. We've got a few things going on. Our service tonight is at 7:30. Our past president, Scott Wolf, will be here speaking about the Jewish Federation of Eastern Connecticut, of which he is president now. And then next week, we've got the Erev New Year's Eve, where we're going to have a special Oneg next Friday night, where we're going to do some line dancing.
After services.
And then the thing that I really want to mention, because it's such a wonderful thing that we do in February,
Oh, yes.
is the cabaret.
Cabaret.
And
So,
maybe
yes.
maybe tell people who are not familiar with cabaret, what is cabaret?
Cabaret is a wonderful way to come together and enjoy an evening of performances by our congregants, and we have people in the community that have come in and shared their talents with us. It's a lovely evening. Just to come relax, eat well, and enjoy your neighbor, your friend.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's so special. We all have from time to time gone to see great artists of one sort or another, and we are amazed by their talent. I think often it is equally amazing to see the talents right here in our community.
And we are really blessed.
We are.
So.
And I think every year, cabaret is just such a wonderful evening.
I enjoy it.
Everybody leaves with a smile on their face.
Definitely.
And feeling really warm about the people that we know and are in our lives.
And hopefully it inspires you to maybe be part of cabaret the next year.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Right. Right. So, if you want to be part of cabaret, get your act together. You can do anything really, whether it's musical or theatrical or
You did a
reciting
wonderful poem.
poetry.
You recited it so beautifully.
Yeah, last year I think I may do something similar this year.
It's
we'll
nice
see.
to hear poetry read well.
Yeah. So get your act together. Be in touch with Sherry or Army Row, and that's the first Saturday evening in February.
And we're going to be doing, like, not tryouts, but on January 7th at 12:15. If you have your act together, it doesn't have to be perfect, but at 12:15 we're going to start looking at the acts that we're going to set up that day. So
just to get an idea how long each act takes.
Exactly. It doesn't have to be done. We just need to know.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, and then we're on break for a little while
Yes,
because
we are.
there's no religious school until after our secular schools start up, and
No classes here.
No classes here, so we're going to take a little bit of time off, I think, next week.
Just relax.
Well, of course, we'll be back for Shabbat next Friday, and so I hope to see you tonight and next week, and maybe for cabaret too.
God, that would be so lovely.
Yeah. For now, we'll say
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
And Merry Christmas to those in our non-Jewish community.
Yeah. Yeah. See you soon.